Welcome back. This is Niaga AWANI with me, Ibrahim Sani, and my colleague Harits. We're going to be talking about a few items, particularly corporate news. But for now, let's focus on Malaysia and Chinese ties. On 31st May, today marks the 40th anniversary of the establishment of the diplomatic relations between the People's Republic of China and Malaysia. The two countries, friends and friendly neighbors for thousands of years, have started a brand new journey back in 1974. And of course, the whole notion of building the country together collectively, peacefully and respectfully has been the central theme. Now, these 48 years have witnessed the sturdy friendship between the two nations moving forward. However, because of the rising geopolitical tensions globally, we try to see how this conversation is going to be charted in the near future. And here to unpack all of this is none other than Dr. Oh Sun, the Senior Fellow of Singapore Institute of International Affairs. Dr. Oh, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us. Let's talk more about the impact or the significance of today being the 48th anniversary of China-Malaysia diplomatic relations. Dr. Oh.
Oh, yeah, I think nearly for the last half a century, these official ties between Malaysia and China has proven to be a very beneficial and productive ones. I think, for example, Malaysia is very often China's largest trading partner in Southeast Asia, and China is, of course, consistently our largest trading partner around the world. So I think it benefited not only, for example, the higher ups in societies, but in our daily lives. For example, either we buy a lot of different goods from China, or we export a lot of our goods to. This is one of the few relationships around the world which has proven to be a very successful one here.
Dr. You highlighted a very significant point because while China is Malaysia's trading partner, you can extrapolate this as being China being the largest trading partner for many, many nations. Many nations, including not geographically close to them. Say, for instance, the Chinese government is very active in trading with the African continent, with the European continent, and so on. This is very important for us to unpack because the rising geopolitical tensions between the US and Russia and Ukraine and many others have resulted in the Chinese government being thrusted as being so-called the world leader in trying to build diplomatic relations. Do you feel that this is going to be the case, at least for the next few years to come?
Oh, yeah, I think over the coming years, China will be very proactive in trying to explore more relationships around the world. With Malaysia, it's already, as we said, a very productive one. But with a number of other countries in South America, for example, I think China would be really proactive in going out to make sure that those kind of relationship is as productive as, for example, their relationship with us. I think it's also a very significant point that this sort of bilateral relation is also very much driven by the civil society. It's not only because the two governments wanted to be friends with each other and had nothing to do with all of us. All of us do a lot of trade with China. We study in China, or we receive China's students in our universities and so on. So it's very much driven by the civil society as well. Yes.
Okay, the administration of this country has seen differing attitudes towards China. We've seen how former Premier Najib is actually quite close to the Chinese government. However, a different stance was taken by Tun Mahathir in his second stint as the Prime Minister. And I would argue that Tan Sri Muhyiddin's stance is a little bit more neutral towards China. But last year, Chinese President Xi Jinping and our Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Ismail Yaakob, both attended the special summit to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the China-ASEAN dialogue relations. This gave a great impetus to upgrading the China-ASEAN relations. This also does give a background into perhaps even a closer tie between Ismail Sabri with that of President Xi Jinping. Do you feel that this is the case moving forward?
Well, of course, as the pandemic subsides, hopefully they will be able to meet in person, right? In diplomacy, there's nothing beating, like so-called pressing the flesh, namely leaders meeting each other and hopefully working out some of the differences and promoting some of those common goals and so on. You would see, for example, I mean, undeniably, there are a little bit of ups and downs in Malaysia's relations with China. Take, for example, sometimes we have disputes over territorial seas and various other regions in South China Sea. But overall, I think we look at the big picture. We try to not make those disputes or differences overshadow our otherwise quite fruitful relationship here.
Yeah, let's talk about some fruitful relationships here, because in 2021, China-Malaysia bilateral trade hit a record high, rising 34.5% to 176 billion US dollars, or about 700 billion ringgit, with China being Malaysia's largest trading partner for 13 consecutive years. As you alluded to earlier, China's investment in Malaysia's manufacturing sector reached 3.98 billion dollars, or about 14 billion ringgit. This has created over 14,000 jobs in Malaysia. Do you feel that these numbers are just the beginnings of even more investments to come, even more jobs to be created, Dr. Oh?
Yeah, I think if you look at those numbers, for example, our trading volumes with China is twice of China's trading volume with Russia, for example. Both big countries, but the trading volume is only half of those of us with, that with us. I think actually we are trading a lot already. I think what is important now is to upgrade the quality of our trading relationship. For example, I think we should shift our focus more towards trade in services. As I alluded to just now, we have students studying in China and there are China students here. But can we have more of this? This Xiamen University, they set up a campus here already, but can Malaysian universities also set up campuses in China and so on, such that education and also, for example, tourism. I'm from Sabah, for example. How can we upgrade the tourism industry between China and Malaysia? That would also be very fruitful. Yeah.
Direct flights from KK to Guangzhou or KK to Shanghai would probably help. Dr. Oh, let's talk about where Malaysia sit in the grand scheme of things, so to speak, to use your own phrase, when it comes to Chinese bilateral and multilateral trade. China is China is the biggest trading partner of many countries. Malaysia isn't. And because of that, we have to look into what President Xi Jinping has proposed, which is the Global Security Initiative, GSI, or Global Development Initiative, GDI, calling for a community with a shared future for everyone. Now, GSI and GDI are the key to Chinese, assessment on how they can bring the gear forward for the global trade. Do you think that Malaysia is a key factor in this, or Malaysia needs to be made important in the grand scheme of things for the Chinese dominance of global supremacy?
Well, number one, I think we should be proud of our own achievements as well. We are, of course, not the largest trading nation in the world, but if I remember correctly, we are number 16 or so. It's not bad. It's a top 20, and we are still a developing country. Number two, this sort of global security or development initiatives proposed by China, I think certainly the development the development initiative will be very welcoming of it. For example, we are the important partner in this Belt and Road initiatives. We are a springboard for them to, for example, go into the Middle Eastern or South Asian markets and so on. So that remains, I think, a very crucial part of our relations. When it comes to security, of course, it's a much more sensitive subject. And I will be blunt on this. In this part of the world, we are also welcoming U.S. participations in regional security matters. So how could we, number one, balance the security interests of these two superpowers, And number two, for example, would this help in resolving, for example, some of the differences in South China Seas? I think those would be the issues that we are looking forward to very, very carefully examine before we rush into such a security initiative here.
Thank you very much. That was Dr. O. E. Sun, Senior Fellow, Singapore Institute of International Affairs. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we'll take a look into some international news.